Signs of the Southland for July 15th, 2025. Welcome to your off-season Georgia Tech numbers and words. My name is Akshay, and joining me, as always, are Jake Grant and Jack Purdy. Gentlemen, it's hot as crap outside. It's humid as crap outside. How are you dealing with the weather in beautiful, muggy Atlanta, Georgia this July?
It was one of those afternoons where a cell pops up kind of out of nowhere, and I bike commute. I don't know. I don't think we've made a secret of that, which is a really concerning thing to be doing when a thunderstorm pops up out of nowhere and just sits. But
Yep.
we're coming to you live. Didn't hear any actual thunder or see any lightning when I was actually outside, or I would have pivoted, we'll say. But yeah, I don't know. Hang in there, people. It's the steamy part of the summer.
It happens. I went to the putting green on Sunday and I was sweating within 5 minutes. So, you know, it's nice when you can get a sweat on and just standing there. I don't mind that.
It's gross. It is legitimately gross outside when like everything feels heavy. Like just taking a breath outside feels heavy. It's it's awful. It's truly awful. On deck today, a lot of not awful news. Baseball draft updates, the Major League Baseball draft, which I didn't know was happening on the same weekend as All-Star weekend. It just went through yesterday, last night, 2 days ago, at some point indeterminately in a liminal space of baseball. Recently, we'll talk about a new athletic director at Georgia Tech, Ryan Alpert, coming in from Tennessee. And then we'll also talk a little bit about football uniforms. Gentlemen, let's start with baseball. Three draft picks from the 2025 Georgia Tech baseball team. Kyle Lodis in the third round to the Chicago White Sox, and two Tampa Bay Ray picks, Brady Jones in the 12th round and Riley Stanford in the 16th round. Lodis and Jones, I think we kind of expected a little bit to go. Stanford, I raised in a little bit of an eyebrow at. Don't think I expected him to go in this draft, but I don't know, gentlemen. Any thoughts on this draft? Any other names that aren't on here that you're surprised by?
I think my bigger concern coming into this draft was potentially losing some of the high school commits. I think in terms of like exits, I think Riley Stanford might have been a bit of a surprise. I don't know if that's fair, but Lodi's had a great year. He's a good player. No surprises there. I always forget how long Brady Jones had pitched elsewhere. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is 2025, relatively speaking, nothing too out of the ordinary. We got a lot coming back. It feels like next year's kind of like the team, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
scares me a little bit, but we can talk about football later.
Yeah.
Get it?
On the
Get
high school
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
On the high school side, it was Charlie Wilcox was one of the guys, one of the high school commits we were hoping would stick around or not get drafted, and he indeed did not get drafted, and he is full send here at Tech next season. So that's a good freshman get we're gonna have that we were able to keep out of the big leagues. I think Underwood, this other guy named Underwood, I forgot his first name, but it looks like he did not sign as well. So I think a couple of our major high school targets are going to still be with the team, which is good to see. Helpful that the draft is now much shorter than it used to be post COVID, and so with only 20 rounds, it
Yeah.
does limit the opportunities to just grab every high schooler imaginable that can throw 95 and just give him a shot. So it helps our talent pool a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also
No complaints here.
there are probably also kids that you can, and not saying that Tech is doing this necessarily, but maybe they should. But there are kids that you can convince to stay or say, like, look, we have this NIL deal for you that's more valuable than your potential draft slot,
Yeah,
right? And that's
Oh,
an
people are doing that. Well, yeah, and people elsewhere are doing that. So if that's going to be the rule, you know, welcome to 2025,
yeah,
let's play ball.
hello. Throttle you. Hey, welcome to 2025. You can spend money on recruits now.
What a concept.
What a concept. Speaking of paying money to recruits, let's talk about football. And let's start with football uniforms, which are our main recruiting attraction. A new Adidas set, three new Adidas sets of uniforms for Georgia Tech. No blue uniforms this time, at least thus far. The three main sets are white, gold, and gray. No new helmets revealed right now. But if you remember from the last couple years, they've just thrown on a bunch of helmet stickers in different combinations. Like they've done just borders for whiteout games. They've done different central stickers for throwbacks versus the stinger sticker, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I have a lot of thoughts, well, a number of thoughts on these uniforms, I guess. As the resident former uniform column writer of yore, which I can see Jake giggling about in the background here.
Both
Uh,
of us are.
but I want to go to both of you first and ask about your favorite uniform combinations from this set. This is live. I did not prep them for this,
That's fine. I
but
I'm always ready to answer this question.
Jack, you first. If you are putting together a uniform set from this group for tomorrow, what are you picking?
Well, importantly, which this was never at risk, but the traditional gold, white, gold is still there, and that will always be an option. That's fine. All good there. They could wear that 12 times a season, or 13 or 14 or 15, depending on how many games they play. I would not have any complaints whatsoever. Um, I that's the base set. Always do that. It'll be great. Um, the whiteout look also looks really good as well. Uh, I have so many problems as a uniform traditionalist stickler that the fact that gray is even an available color, uh, I it's not on our official color scheme in any way, shape, or form. We have a third color. We've always had a third color that has been very well established in this Adidas era, even and before, and it's just not available. Yes, the basketball teams wear gray. This is the gray we have as close to the to what the men's team wore and what the volleyball team wore last year as well. Uh, but d- d- you, why? Why? That's if the players they wanted it, cool, whatever. They're wrong. They're sorry, they're wrong. They no, we have blue for a reason. Just wear it. My God, or don't, and just wear white and gold.
Mr. Grant.
Yeah, I think the gold looks a little off. And my feedback for the gold and the gray is they both kind of look like pajamas. I, I don't know. I workshopped this take offline, expecting this to come down the pipe since it has been a minute since we recorded. Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm as thorough of a don't wear gray as they come kind of guy, but I do kind of like that the gold and the gray together feels a little bit of our own space. Navy and gold is very crowded. If you're gonna have to have a colorful alternative, I think these three make a decent enough set. I don't like that it's not on the official sheet in terms of our colors and our branding, and that's where the gold being a little off throws me a little bit.
Yeah,
The metallic is a little odd. I don't know. Like I was never really in love with any of the previous Adidas sets. Actually, the gold throwbacks to the Calvin Johnson like 03 or 04 team, whatever that was, I
the
think
last
those were
the last set kind of grew on
yeah.
me. The not to bring up Collins, but like that era, like that level of gold worked for me. Like I liked it, and I liked how it was kind of stinger based, like striping and things like that. Like that really worked for me. 'Cause, like that felt like what if you're gonna make it Georgia Tech themed and get the colors right. That's what I thought it was. Um, the last set did grow on me though. Like it was easy to see everything. The metallic ended up looking pretty nice. We had a lot of night games that it looked good under. Um, I agree on the gold. It looks a little odd. As long as I don't go gold over gold, I think it won't matter though. Like if it's
Yeah.
just too much gold, it's like okay, you can kind of see it. But if it's not, if they don't do that, which usually they never do anyways, I don't think we'll run into any
Well,
issues there.
the counterpoint to that is that they have the tech gold metallic stripe on the gold jersey, and that's where you can very clearly see that something's
Yeah,
Yeah.
wrong here.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that make
Yep.
like the thought that I immediately had to when I saw those what I'm gonna call pale gold jerseys was like, we did we not just spend like an inordinate amount of mental energy in 2018 unifying all of the colors and shades of gold in our catalog to end up
Yeah.
with this again? But to be fair, I think it's a difficult problem, right? Like
It is.
it's a very difficult problem to turn a metallic, shiny color off of a vehicle. Fundamentally, it's a very difficult problem to turn a metallic, shiny color off of a vehicle into a uniform. I think the last uniform set did as good of a job as it could have.
Yeah.
I am disappointed in what is effectively a cream colored jersey. Uh,
Yeah.
and it vexes me. It vexes me greatly. Um, I will say though, I like the actual metallic stripe on the jerseys. I think that's nice. I think that like especially on the white ones, it pops really nicely.
It's a
But
hell of a
that's
lot better
when
than previous striping patterns we've had under previous manufacturers. So like it's a nice stable part of the set.
right, but I will say though, the stripes are not unique to tech like the last ones were.
Fair.
Like
Yeah.
these are, well, I think they did a minor refresh. Like, so the uniform history under Adidas goes the 2018 sets. There was a minor refresh sometime in 2021, I think, and then this season's new sets. But in that 2021 re-release, they changed to more of a block stripe, but it still had some sort of point. I think on the pants, but not on the jersey. I may be mixing my metaphors here. Um, but if you look at other Adidas schools that have released uniforms this offseason, a lot of them have that same block stripe on the shoulder.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's weird because I think there's a lot of consternation, or at least for me. Let me speak for myself specifically. I have a little bit of consternation over Adidas not necessarily making tech a first class citizen, despite being one of their power four, power five customers or clients. Um, it's weird. It's very weird. Like traditionally, like if you go back 5 or 6 years, only the group of five schools got full templated uniforms where it was just the colors that were swapped out. And now I think Adidas is doing that for more and more teams. Or even like all across the board, these providers are doing that for more and more teams, which sucks. Like I think a lot of people like
Yeah.
custom. It's like with soccer jerseys, right? It's like a lot of people like like yes, the marketing speak is really stupid, but like everyone likes the little personalized club specific touches. Um, and so
Well,
it's
that's the fun
sucks.
of it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it
And
granted.
I think that speaks to people's broader frustrations and why our beloved partner Stephen Little has cornered the market on great Georgia Tech apparel. Yeah. But there's so many cool, unique things that you can do with the Georgia Tech brand that resonate with our fans and with our alumni and with even just
Yeah.
regular students who may not care a ton about football, but like a good logo and like the tradition or the imagery enough. I don't know. Like obviously that's a bit of an aside, but like that speaks to the broader Adidas things that we're always talking about. I mean, that's why we all love Section 103 so much, you know?
Right. We have the chance to be both. We're a very traditional school that also works well with very nerdy, very unique things you can do with the uniform because we just have so many weird elements of our history and our nature and things like that. Hence why I love having like the honeycomb shells. It's like no one else can pull that off like we can. Yes, it's way
Yeah.
out there. It's a risk, but it's like that's what we do. Like
See,
that's
it's you just have to do them on the helmet. You can't make the entire uniform
exactly,
out of
exactly.
the honeycomb pattern.
Hey, I don't have any background information, but all I know is that the 10th anniversary of the Miracle in Techwood Drive is this year during homecoming. I'm just praying to God that they have those helmets ready to go. I don't know if they do or don't. I'm just praying they do, because
Don't remind me how old I am, Jack. That was my freshman year of college.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyways,
Age
I
is but a
will.
number. Age.
My last note. You mentioned the shoulder stripes. They all, because it's Adidas, have three stripes on the shoulders, hence the template there. Um, The gray uniforms also listed as dark gray, not gray, which is true. It is a darker shade that's not close to black. I wouldn't call it as close to black, but it's definitely it could be mistaken for a black uniform if you don't see it in the right light kind of thing. But outside of that, I hope I imagine it'll be a we'll wear white over gold all the time or white over white for a lot. Maybe we'll do gold over white once or twice in their one gray game just because we have it and we probably have to wear it. But I mean, Brent Key during last season, the blue uniforms didn't show up at all. The tops, at least, the pants showed up only once or twice. So he's been pretty stalwart on a traditional look. So I'm not worried that we're gonna show up in like gray over gold or something stupid like that.
I'll add that in College Football 26, which came out last week, the default home uniforms are white helmet, white jersey, gold pants. So I would probably expect to see that at home most of the time, barring an opponent screwing tech over. Because if you're not familiar with the NCAA football uniform rules, the home team has to ask the away team for permission to wear white. It's very stupid. This is what got Tech into trouble in like 2016 when they played Vanderbilt for a gold out, and Vanderbilt chose to wear gold. It was like a Vanderbilt for a white out, and then Vanderbilt screwed. It was hilarious. It was very dumb, but it was hilarious.
Good
Uh,
sportsmanship.
the other thing that I'll add here is I actually doubled back to 2018 when I was writing those uniform reviews, and pulled our record in just the default sets, and they were undefeated. It was like 6-0 in just the default sets. Like not just gold, white, gold, the default sets
Yep.
that were on the mannequins originally. So I don't know. That's analytics for you
There you go.
on uniforms. Talking more about actual football. And speaking about talking in general, preview season has arrived. We're doing a lot of preview content on the blog, the big outlets like Split Zone Duo, Solid Verbal, all those podcasts, Cover Three, all of them are doing their preview episodes. I think the Solid Verbal just dropped the second part of their ACC preview podcast this week. Jack, I don't know if you got a chance to listen,
I
read
did. I
any key takeaways from what the media sphere is telling the public about Georgia Tech football?
I would say for the most part they're around where I am, which is they are absolutely a contender. They've got all the vibes to make a dark horse run if things work out the right way. Things do have to work out the right way, but I mean people are not ambivalent to the fact that we have a relatively tame ACC schedule compared to some past years, and the guys to win a lot of those games. And when it comes down to it, we've got Haynes King, and that if you're boiling it down to the okay, who's the quarterback you'd rather have in a game, he can win that battle a lot of times, which is really helpful. So uh, the vibes generally nationally are pretty good. They're in that 7-8 win area, which is around where Vegas has it as well. And I'm of the opinion that if we don't win 8 games, the season's a failure. Then I think a lot of people are in that same boat.
Jake, anything to add on that one?
Not too much. I don't know. Everything that I see is like medium to positive. Is that scary? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if this phrase is going to ring true for anyone. Hopefully it does. But feels like '08. If you were a Cubs fan in that, like, not that it was like that was a little bit different. I was like, this is the year, like, duh, it's been 100 years. Of course they're going to win it all. Not the same case, but it feels very much like I'm not used to going into a season with expectations. Maybe how's that? I was terrified the entirety of 2016 as a Cubs fan. I was terrified the entire of 2017 as a Georgia Tech fan, coming off a really exciting year in 2016.
Yeah.
And I don't think I felt quite like that since that 2017 year. And the difference between then and now is we've got a 2-year starting quarterback and quite a little bit of proven, this, that, and the other thing up and down both rosters. But we can get to the more granular preview in a couple of weeks here.
This is for a different discussion, but this is to be the first time for thousands and thousands of alumni and recent students that are going to have positive expectations going into a football season. We have not seen what that properly looks like in the significantly increased alumni era of Georgia Tech. Jake, I know you have so much
I
to
was
talk about.
just about to ask that.
We have
Oh, Jack, I love
so many. We
that.
have so that's a different. Let's save that for August. Let's save that for
What
August.
percentage of living alumni have never had good vibes going into a football
Um,
season?
For me
I can
being the elder statesman,
I can find that
being the
number.
elder statesman here, this reminds me to an extent
Oh.
of 14 into 15 because coming off
Oof.
obviously different end
Right.
14 with the Orange Bowl, the ACC championship game and everything. And 15 very weird in its own right. Um, but I think there are different things that give me some sort of like baseline optimism or like not even optimism, just like signs of baseline competency that the bottom won't fall out like it did in 2015.
Right.
But it really, I think, comes down to what happens in fall practice and what the roster looks like in like 4 weeks. So,
Getting close. Well, media days are in like 2 weeks up in Charlotte. So
And
uh,
that's where I feel like the season like prep actually starts for me.
it gets really
I
going
don't,
then. Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how many other people feel like that, but I'm still in. It's the All-Star game tonight, right? Like this is
Yeah.
the Cubs are in it. Like last night was a very interesting home run derby. I'm not in football mindset yet. I'm still recovering from college baseball being being getting done 2, 3 weeks ago. But that's just me.
I think the College World Series was like 6 weeks ago, buddy.
Shh, shh. Steven's still advertising his lovely LSU gear on the website. And that's what we call a transition, if you'll allow me to take it to our regularly scheduled bit. Um, as always, this podcast is brought to you by Section 103. Section 103 is the best place to find Georgia Tech apparel. You can tell that I am looking at the website if you have this podcast as a visual medium, which you don't, but Akshay and Jack do, because my face is all purple. I'm looking at all the beautiful LSU stuff that he has up there. But fear not, there is still plenty of Georgia Tech apparel that one can purchase there. Keep an eye out there. It's always free shipping on orders over $80 every day, but 10% off when you use code FTRS. As always, good stuff in the works there. Between, I love their sweaters and I love their long sleeve stuff, but performance tee for the summer in a beautiful shade of Georgia Tech gold, as per our earlier conversation about uniforms, seems to be very high on the docket. Go check them out, section103.com, and that's section 103 on Instagram as well.
Welcome back to Signs of the Southland for the 15th of July. Wow, I said 15th of February, 2025. I'm in a different year, a different part of my brain, and some of that is because Georgia Tech has a new athletic director, Ryan Alpert, who comes to Atlanta from Knoxville, Tennessee. He was, excuse me, he was Tennessee's chief revenue officer. I've summarized this very briefly as he is the inventor and proprietor of Battery 2 Electric Boogaloo in Knoxville. Basically, Tennessee's taking a bunch of land next to campus and building out the exact same mixed-use entertainment district that the Braves did in Cobb County under his tenure, Tennessee got to a record operating revenue, which is very cool. I mean, that's literally his job as chief revenue officer. So it sounds like a very similar hire to Jay Batt when he was hired from Alabama in 22. But this is a different stage, I would say, in terms of Georgia Tech's progression from that point. I think Tech is in a more stable financial footing, or at least personally, I feel a lot better about it than I did 3 years ago. Jack, any introductory thoughts, especially from that press conference, some of the initial media?
Yeah, his introductory press conference actually is tomorrow, but he did talk with Andy Demetra initially, and it does feel like a lot of not like in a one-to-one comp of like it's just J Bat reincarnated, but it's a lot of the same themes and stuff that Cabrera was looking for in that hire when Bat came around. And it's a lot of the same stuff here with Alpert. Um, just the positioning's different. We don't have to. He doesn't have to come in and start a bunch of initiatives because Bat got a lot of those initiatives started such as full steam ahead, and got a lot of money in the pockets coming forward, which is big time stuff. Um, he mentioned that like he was very what part of what made this intriguing and appealing is that Cabrera's been full send on making athletics work at Tech since the fiasco of 2022, um, and that makes any athletic director's job a lot easier when you know that your boss isn't trying to focus on other things; they're focusing on you, and they know that what you do is incredibly important to the health of the school that you're at. I mean, Cabrera is very familiar with that. Like he knows that, and we've said it on here before, the most eyeballs we're ever gonna get looking at our logo is when we play those ABC or ESPN games. It's gonna be August 29th against Colorado. There is gonna be millions of eyeballs looking at the Georgia Tech logo and looking at the Georgia Tech brand and doing what you can to support that and make it look good on television is a big freaking deal. And you got to have the right guy for that, and the guy who can keep it financially sustainable in an era when that is still a question, and especially going to be a question in 2030, which we'll talk about later. Um, but for the most part, this is a step in this is a guy who is going to continue us in the direction we've been going in this whole time. Um, so I overall, and also he was on our list of guys we wanted. I was just like, wait a second, we actually got a guy we wanted. That felt nice. That felt really nice.
Yeah. I think the work done over the last 2, 3 years has really laid a groundwork. Say what you will about Damon, Hyundai Field, blah, 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 other things that I've said. But I really feel that Georgia Tech is playing from a position of strength in a way that we were not the last time. And
Yeah.
you know, that's a good spot to be. Gents, I just dropped a one of our favorite activities, going on Google Earth and measuring stuff in the sky, into our shot sheet. And this is my proposal for battery three, electric Jubilee. There's about a half mile of open, well, I guess that's the perimeter, but there's about, 156,000 square feet of open real estate along North Ave, that is either parking lot or empty lot. And, it's not a full battery, but hey, you can replace those open surface slots with a parking deck, get the same amount of parking, and do a bunch of cool stuff along North Avenue. Hello, yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Not saying yes to do it, but just we're really not available for land for the most
No,
part at Georgia Tech. A lot
no,
of it's spoken for, but knock down that surface lot and start filling the alumni deck a little bit more there, and maybe you got something to put a couple like Georgia Tech type cool downtowny type places in there.
The two things came to mind when you dropped this in our notes. Number one, I remembered when we did that Fever Dream episode about building a soccer stadium on campus like 2 years ago now, where we
Yeah.
suggested that the city cap the connector and then we put the stadium on the capped connector. That was pretty great. I also remembered that part of the campus plan includes knocking down the flyover on Northside Drive, or at least getting
Yep.
GDOT to knock down the flyover since it's on Northside, um, which raises some more interesting questions about what land is available and how you can connect to the street grid, and especially with Art Square on the horizon on one side of campus, what other land is there as tech continues to expand westward and southward and that sort of thing
yeah,
to a
Well, I'm glad you
invested.
asked because your boy also went and measured what would it look like if we redeveloped the east side of the Marietta Street artery, including knocking out the flyover. For perspective, that's about 10, no, not 10, about 6 times the available square footage. But then again, you have a lot of existing infrastructure, utilities, HR building, mail sorting building, that kind of stuff in that space. But in the campus plan, they do have that being more downtowny-ish too. So you never know. And also, I think they might have had an open like soccer or turf field or something like that over there too in that plan. But maybe that's outside the scope of we just hired this guy type thing. But I guess I put us in this mess. So the
Well,
natural
it's
conclusion.
all in the same bucket, right? Like if we think about the next 5 years, J-Pat
Mhm.
was here 3 years in terms of athletic department tenure. Todd Stansbury was at Tech for 4 years. I think Babinski is a little bit too dated for this particular analysis, but let's say Ryan Alpert is here for the next 5 years. In terms of one of the main questions that he has to answer, it's just redoing his job at Tennessee, right? Finding new ways to make revenue and things like, hey, like let's build a soccer stadium and derive revenue from that, not just as a hey, we play NCAA soccer and we collect the gate receipts, but also like, hey, there's a there's a smaller minor league team, a second or third division team in Atlanta that can now play there and pay gate and pay rent on those games, right? Like that's a revenue
Yeah,
generating opportunity. There's invest in convincing Georgia Tech to invest in another downtown, like you said, a downtowny strip next to Wingnuts and that side of campus, right? And flesh
Yeah.
out those warehouses and turf, and even as part of Art Square, right? Have a
yeah,
strip there as well. Um, I mean, that's question number one, just to keep up with the Joneses, and then and then again, there's also the NIL question, how you're spending the salary cap of $20.5 million, conference realignment when the ACC TV contract eventually blows up, any sort of coaching stuff. There's a lot of stuff that could happen within the next 5 years that
Yeah.
are not just like small, like just one coaching hire. But they're pretty like I'm not gonna say existential questions, but they're close, right? They're as close to existential about the athletic department as you're gonna get in the modern era of college
Are
athletics.
going to be important. Yeah. Jake, I love how you're just like trying to get rid of my office's parking lot. It's fantastic. Anyways,
Jack. I'm in a constant war against surface parking. That you could just put it on a nice deck and then boom, same
we
amount of
should,
parking,
no,
but you
no,
get
there's,
cool stuff.
that area one parking lot should definitely be, or lot one should definitely stack up eventually. But also the soccer stadium idea is this, if that's how we get an NWSL team in the city, hell yeah, let's go. Uh, would kill
Uh,
for that.
gonna be real honest with you guys. I still have all those polygons in my Google Earth, so we can always bring that back. Can always bring it back if you want to
If
follow
you
us.
want to see
Do
where
more
there's a
rampant speculation.
just look up the comprehensive campus plan on Tech's website, and you'll see where they, in theory, could slot a stadium. There is a drawing with one. Uh,
Yeah.
I on the revenue side of everything, I'll be curious if the approach is any different. I mean, if, for Bat, it really felt like if there was a chance to get a massive payday, which we saw in the Hyundai deal, which we saw in the clean old fashioned hate single year change, he took that money, which you kind of had like that is what that was his job, even if despite the fact that it was very tradition altering for those time periods that those deals and those events happen in. He found sizable chunks of money that we weren't finding before. uh, Now, how many opportunities he had or how many fell through, I have no idea. I don't know if those were just the two that he like knew he had to do or what. No idea. um, what we do know is that season ticket numbers went up. The donations were increasing demonstrably more than compared to the years before. Um, it was money was coming in from a lot of different sides compared to where they used to be. Alpert's going to walk in with, okay, that culture is at least better established than it was before. There's a massive stadium renovation that's going to make the stadium hopefully even more of an event space than it is now, for either inside tech events, or just get more normal events in because there's better hospitality arrangements and things that are coming down the line. Uh, but also, what does he want to like? Does he want to put more big games in the stadium? Like like the last note we have from the J Bat era, uh, outside of confirming that basically just confirming the James Ramsey hire and hiring Karen Blair, was scheduling the Tennessee game and getting rid of the Marta Bowl against Georgia State. And we were kind of led to believe that, like, okay, this is going to keep happening. We saw 2028 had a slot open. There's a number of teams that had slots open, notably Auburn. Does Alpert want to keep doing that, or is he going to be like, nope, let's go the route that Indiana's going, which is they're just only playing Austin P 5 times if they can, and win all the games you can and keep the win number up and not the gate revenue number up. I don't know. Uh, that's to be seen. Tennessee plays a lot of tough games, including they're going to play us next year, so I'll be curious to see if that that dogma changes at all. But that if a big game gets you more money here, probably would go that way because that is again is his job, find the
I
money.
think that's an interesting analysis though, because Indiana, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but Indiana maybe thinks, hey, like our gate receipts are not going to change depending on the opponent because we know we have a pretty loyal
It's different there. Yeah,
inertial
Bloomington's different.
fan
Yeah,
base.
yeah,
But Tech has done a different analysis or can do a different analysis and say, hey, we know that we are this smaller fish swimming in the SEC geographic pond. Can we take advantage of that? It's not a market inefficiency, but it's like, can we fight back against that? Like, can
right,
we claw some space out? And even if we I don't know. Like, hopefully, our team is in the right position to take advantage of those opportunities. But if not, hey, we're collecting a paycheck. We're
right.
collecting a massive gate from those clubs. So
Yeah,
it's an interesting like when you set those two examples against each other. It's very interesting what the motivations for those two types of plans are because it's
right.
like, okay, well, like a Indiana fan, and Jake, your brother went to Indiana, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, is he
And
gonna
my
get
mother.
up? Yeah, but are they gonna get up for Virginia more or versus Austin P, or does it like it just doesn't matter? It's like you're in the Big Ten. It's like the Ten games are the only one that matter.
I think they're in a weird new world. Um, I don't know if this is a great comp, but like imagine being a fan base so starved of good football that like last year was the best year they ever had.
Hmm.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
like granted, Georgia Tech football has not been like world beaters since I've been a fan, but like I don't know, it's kind of like the equivalent of winning an Orange Bowl in the pre-playoff era, right? Make it there, have a fun experience and get bounced, right? Like I don't know, I'm not trying to be blasé, but like I think that they're not necessarily a great comp, but that being said, I'm sure if I called my brother up right now and patched him into this podcast, he'd say something to the effects of like, well, like Virginia also is not very good. Like obviously playing an FCS team or FBS team, but low. You know what I mean? Like the
Yes, yes.
just doesn't low major hoops program. How's that?
There you go.
Playing
Yeah.
one of those is not gonna get a fan base up. But like if you're Indiana, you've been in the Big Ten for 130 years, give or take, 120 years, give or take, right? Your non-conference rival is Kentucky, and you haven't played them since well before Kentucky Louisville became an annual football game, right? They don't really play each other in any sport. They have the weird predicament of being so steady that like you got Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, Illinois, you got Ohio State, like those are the teams that you want to see. Notre Dame, who refused to play them for years, though I guess Notre Dame's out of conference. Like those are the teams
Yeah.
that move the needle, and it's just such a completely different ball game than especially a Georgia Tech, where like I don't know, you still ask certain people in the fan base and you'd think it's 1964, like
Well, I think
and it's just
that
not, right? And that's where Tennessee moves the needle for us in a way that is different than just being a helmet game.
Well, also to that point, it's the literal revenue aspect, right? We don't like Tech
Mhm.
is not getting as much in TV revenue that $90 million per team per year number that the Big Ten TV deal maxes out to is not what the ACC TV deal is maxing out to,
Yeah.
right? So just being able to finding ways to change that gate receipt number and try to make some of those revenue multiples work in your favor. I think that also change that as a motivation changes the calculus too.
Yeah. And also, I mean, being in Atlanta, we've seen a lot of instances of not Atlanta teams playing in not Atlanta based sporting events and things like that. A lot of neutrals, basically, whether it's soccer, whether it's other kinds of the other kinds of football, things like that. And we have a city that will show up to a good sporting event if it's
Yep.
affordable and it's not one of our teams. And in Atlanta, there's a hell of a lot of people that are not Georgia Tech people. But if you tell them, hey, a decent Georgia Tech team's playing insert okay or good popular team here, people will show up for that. That happens in basketball
Yeah.
too. Like I've had plenty of friends that come every year for the Duke and North Carolina games because they want to see who's playing for Duke and North Carolina, and it's local, and it's a way to go see the team, visit your city, kind of thing. It's a little bit easier with basketball because that's a more reliable, like Duke's going to be good every time they play, whatever. But still, like that that is part of how we can economically help ourselves in this battle of like, okay, sure, if technically scheduling Tennessee is probably not good for our, may not be good for our win loss in 2026, but there's a hell of a lot of other benefits that can make a lot of other parts of the program succeed. And it's a weird way to do a buy game without paying for the game. Like it's kind of it's a reverse way to get there. Um,
It's like a one of that it's like a Clemson or a Georgia situation that you actually feel okay about instead
right,
of dirty.
right, yeah. It's like you get a good game, which if you win, that does a massive thing for for your resume. So like, there's no downside in doing that. Well, there is downside. You could lose. Um, but you get a game people want to go see. Like I mean, no one's really excited when we play South Carolina State or anything like that. Like, yes, we need an easy game. Those programs need it. That's a very critical part of the college football financial ecosystem. But yeah, there is the fact we are in Atlanta does advantage us to playing higher stakes games with other local SEC teams or anything like that, even if that technically may not help our odds towards winning a championship kind of thing. Um, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a
I
weird
think that's
it's a weird slot we're in.
yeah, and I think like I get it that they were like, oh, we're gonna be the Notre Dame of the South, but it's interesting in that it's kind of like a weird, like self-fulfilling prophecy in that like if everyone's a game that people might maybe be interested in, no one is, you know? Like it
Yeah,
is at some point, like building durable fandom is gonna be based off of sustained wins and relating to, people and
yeah.
having coaches and personalities that and fan or not fans and players that people enjoy and want to go see play and that are talented. It's so weird that it's so interconnected, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, like that's the thing, right? It's sidewalk fans at the end of the day that also matter and getting people
Hmm.
to buy in when they don't have the like strong emotional long-standing like we went there at like I don't know like I met my wife there like we've met
Yeah.
great friends there we have degrees like that's
We
it's an
created a
intrinsic
podcast
thing,
there.
yeah, right, like
What?
you know
The other thing
Jack
I'll
just
add to
woke
this,
up, welcome.
well, the other thing that I'll add to this too, is something that we talked about, or something that Todd Stansbury talked about when the decision was made to switch the Bobby Dodd Stadium from grass to turf, and is doing other types of events, right?
Mhm.
Talking about concerts, talking about other sports, talking about adding sports if necessary. Those options, and obviously we don't know what the strategy is at the high level, especially with regards to adding sports when it comes to revenues and NIL and the cap and all that stuff. So setting that aside for now, is it possible that they go back to that plan as a form of revenue generation, right? We really only saw the one event that ended up coming to fruition on the turf, which was Super Classico,
Yeah.
with Liga MX, excuse me, Liga MX teams, right?
Yeah.
So does that, especially in the like 8 months that the stadium is laid fallow, like does that become more of a factor, especially if you can sell those seats for a preseason game, like a preseason soccer game, right? A preseason.
And post renovation, I mean, I mentioned this earlier. Like that'll be a lot easier to do when the entire stadium is chair backed and it's not just benches all over the place. That makes it a hell of a lot more appealing for any kind of events to show up there, knowing that they can provide a better comfort experience for their audience, which is a little bit more of an important factor in non-college football events compared
And I'll
to.
add, and I mean, I'll add too, like you also have more luxury boxes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Part of
that's a
the
big thing.
part of the renovation is adding more suites. So if you have more opportunities just from a baseline to generate revenue
Yeah,
with pulling up the suite wait list or eliminating more of the suite wait list by giving them spaces to use. And then you
Yeah,
have the opportunity to sell those suites to other events, right?
yep.
But I think that it's an interesting proposition of, okay, well, like if you don't want to sell out State Farm. Well, if you don't want to sell, like if you're not big enough for Mercedes-Benz, or on the dates that you want to book, State Farm is taken, or you don't want to go up to Duluth, but you still want to be in town, but you don't want to sell at, I don't know, like what is the other applicable venue, right? It's you
Yeah,
want to
South.
be bigger than Gas South. You want to be bigger than the
Mid Energy,
Convocation
yeah.
Center at State. You want to be bigger than the Tabernacle, but
Oh, the Tabernacle's a small venue compared to those. I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah,
Bobby Dodd versus Tabernacle is gonna. But I get the point you're trying to make.
yeah, I just am like riffing off of venue names here because I'm not
Yeah,
a concert person, but like the it I think there is I'm shooting from the hip here, but I imagine that there is a mid-sized market for concerts, especially in that range. Once you have the luxury box component locked in, and then also you have like because you're using turf, and yeah, we can talk about why turf is bad and all those things till the cows come home, but like you have the opportunity to do multiple events without the surface being completely degraded,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yep.
so, yes, it's an outdoor stadium, so that's always a risk, and that's why people might prefer State Farm despite the reduced capacity, um, compared to Bobby Todd. But like these are opportunities, right? These are all
yeah,
opportunities, and if you are going to sell naming rights to your stadium to a corporation and put their logo on the field, and you're going to sell your annual rivalry game to the local stadium while you're doing a renovation for a cash guarantee, this should also be back on the table
yeah.
as a more modest solution to your revenue generation problem.
There's a lot of, having had a decent amount of music industry experience, there's a lot of ways Bobby Dodd could fit into it that I won't do for this podcast. Also, I can confirm I have walked on the new turf at the stadium, and it is significantly better than the old turf. It
Hmm.
it feels good. It looks a hell of a lot better. It ain't gonna shine on television. The colors are much more saturated for TV and in-person viewing, which I know we had complained about, like why does it look like it's glossy? And yeah, it feels a lot better and will be much more amenable toward events if the turf style matters. But for what it's worth, we have definitely made an upgrade there.
Do you know what
Well,
the
that's
turf
good.
product is?
I don't know the name of the product, but at least I know that there is sand involved in putting it down. The last version was just the rubber pellets. So this is a rubber sand mixture compound that they can put in
Okay.
there, which does even things that it makes it a whole lot nicer.
We should ask, and this is maybe an action item for us because this is, of course, a work meeting. We should ask the Athletic
We can
Association
find
if
that out.
it's a field turf product or if it's a similar product to what they've put in Mercedes-Benz. Um, for soccer, it plays strange. Sometimes it'll play strangely if you haven't put a concert on it
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Um, Especially after they do a turf install at Mercedes-Benz, the ball will bounce funny. Obviously,
Well,
it's not
I'll,
a concern for football, but like the ball will occasionally bounce funny.
I have
I
walked
would
on.
say that's a concern for football.
I've
Not
walked.
to distract too much, but
Yeah, I've walked on Mercedes's turf as well, and it's not the same. That much I can remember. It does not feel the same as the turf that's down at Mercedes right now. So
good to
Something to
know.
follow up on for us. I think just to wrap up this conversation, I think the biggest immediate concern, if we're looking at that next 18 months for Alpert, might be a coaching decision in Damon Stoudemire, depending on how the season goes.
yeah, hopefully his biggest problem coming up will be people trying to steal our talent, which is a thing that does happen and has happened as we saw with Taylor Santucci. But if things go wrong, yeah, that's how quick is he going to be willing to pull the trigger on or you're just get Damon out of here. Jay was pretty quick about Josh Pastner when that happened, and got Damon in pretty quickly. Uh, if that mean he has not been Ryan has not been an athletic director with the job of filling in a prominent coaching role before. So that hopefully he won't need to have that test that soon. But it will be very interesting to see if that does happen because that might shed a lot of light of information about him we won't know unless that situation comes up. Um, but I am cheering for Dongo and Mohamed Silla and Kwasi Reeves Jr. to make every shot and lead us to the promised land again instead. So
simply never miss. That's a
Yeah,
great
exactly.
idea.
I would
Let's just do that.
I just don't miss basketball shots. Now, granted, I don't take any basketball shots, but I don't miss any basketball
0 to
shots.
0 is still 100%. That's how math works, surely.
Uh, I don't know about that.
My degree says computer science, not mathematics. It's important to
And a
keep that in
good
mind.
beep boop to you too.
I think with that, we're just about at the end of our shot sheet for the week. Jack, any other news and notes that we should keep an eye out for on the flats?
If any of you happen to know anybody that runs a club college hockey team, Tech is looking for some opponents to host here in Atlanta in the fall. It'd be cool to have opponents that we could go to their games. Uh, Outside of that, the next event that happens at Tech is football. The volleyball schedule should we're always late to drop our volleyball schedule compared to other schools. I don't know why, but we
Yeah,
just that's just a thing
that is weird.
that Michelle does. It's fine. We do know we play Tennessee to kick off the season though on a Tuesday night in September, so that's happening. And then we'll have
Oh,
some. I know.
right. On that, the McCamish game is
Oh, that did get announced.
Georgia.
Yes. So yeah, the McCamish game for volleyball this year is against the University of Athens Community College. That
The
will be a
University of
friendly.
Athens Community College, really doing us a solid there on that one.
That's what their legal birth name is. Yes. This is on September 19th. And this does lead into a football game. I want to say on the 20th. I think that is Clemson week, if I'm not mistaken. No, that is Temple week. Temple week. So that's volleyball against Georgia on Friday. The next day is football against Temple. And then whoever we play on that Sunday,
Oh
I don't know in
boy.
volleyball because they haven't told us the schedule yet.
Once they
Hmm.
release the schedule, we'll do our preview pod. It's just a game of chicken.
We're waiting on Michelle. We're waiting
That
on you, Michelle.
that's the spirit.
All right, gentlemen, I think that is about it. It is time for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game here well, it's not really here. It's 15 minutes to the northwest. But Jake, please take us out.
Yeah, as always, this podcast has been brought to you by From the Rumble Seat. You can find us at fromtherumbleseat.com. Email us fromtherumbleseat@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Blue Sky, all those places. I'm over on Blue Sky with Jack. I'm at Jake Grant 98. Jack's at Jack Nicholas. I find FTRS again at both places, and Akshay's out there too. Game on Paper. Go check that out for the upcoming football season. You can find Section 103 at Section 103 on Instagram and section103.com. Remember, code FTRS for 10% off. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at From the Rumble Seat. We don't post there often, but when we do, that's good stuff too. Go check it out and give us a follow. And as always, wherever fine podcasts are distributed, you can find this podcast. Tell your friends, give us a rate review. We really do appreciate it. And in the meantime, good night, good luck, and go Jackets.